Welcome to the Alaskan Journey podcast. My name is Jamin Gurker. I'm an associate real estate broker in the state of Alaska, and think of me as your first friend in Alaska who's going to answer the questions of what it's like actually living up here. And to kind of help me do that today, I've got a friend who moved up to Alaska not too long ago, Kaden, and moved up here with his family nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah, rounding up. Yeah,
rounding up. So he's here today to really talk about what it's like living in Alaska and to kind of show all of you what it's like to live up here and to figure out if Alaskan's a barren wasteland or not. So, Kaden, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Absolutely. So, I guess let's go ahead and start here then. We'll go ahead and just talk about a little bit about you moving here, and
Sure.
then we'll kind of jump into, what your impressions are of Alaska after being here for nearly 2 years.
Absolutely, man.
So, yep. So real quick, where did you guys come from when you were looking at moving up here, when you came up here?
Yeah, for sure. So when, Alaska got on our roadmap of potential places to move to, it was, 2022, about the January, February of 2022. And so that's when I first flew up here for the first time. It was February 2022 to start looking at houses. First time I met you face to face. But yeah, flew up here. It was in the middle of, you guys had just received a ton of snow. Mm-hmm. So it was a good, welcome into Alaska in terms of, hey, look at all the snow you're going to have. I never grew up near snow. So that was kind of a fun welcome.
Where did you grow up in?
So I grew up in Utah. However, I grew up in southern Utah, so about 5 minutes from the Arizona border. So I know a lot of people, Utah, snow. I grew up pretty much like an hour from Vegas, so no snow. And then I was living in Oklahoma at the time before I moved up here.
Outstanding. So when you got up here, obviously Alaska kind of rolled out the red carpet, gave you like all that snow and everything.
Absolutely.
When you were up here initially, we did not get a whole lot of time to do much of anything.
We did not. So my whole purpose of that first trip was literally to check out that house, look at a couple things, and then I had to fly back, get back to work. But honestly, that first trip pretty much sold Alaska. I know it was like very short. It's like only 2 days. But I mean, just the beauty of Alaska. I mean, it was winter. But just the beauty of Alaska with all the mountains and the snow and all the houses up on the hills and stuff, like it just blew me away. I was like, it was something out of like a movie, honestly, is what it felt like.
Right. So I guess stepping back real quick for the audience too,
Sure.
Where did you end up settling down in Southcentral Alaska?
In Eagle River. Yep. So I knew that I was going to be working in Anchorage. However, I didn't really want to be in Anchorage proper. So Eagle River, Chugiak were the primary areas where I was looking at, but I settled on Eagle River. Couldn't be happier.
And what made you decide you didn't want to settle down in Anchorage proper?
There's a couple reasons. One, I'm just not a big fan of any traffic. And you can't really complain. It's Alaska,
It's like you sound so spoiled right now.
I sound so spoiled. I know. It comes off so horribly. Because, I mean, even the summertime when there's a lot of tourists coming in, you really can't complain about the traffic. But I wanted, like, as peaceful as you could get. So I didn't want to, be in smack dab Anchorage for that. And, yeah, Eagle River, I mean, it's only, like, 10 minutes, and then you're already in, the north side of Anchorage, coming off the Glen. So, traffic, which I know I'm complaining too much here, but traffic was one of the reasons. Another was the schools for my kids. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and then. There, a lot of the areas where we found potentially good houses in Anchorage, I wasn't really a fan of, I guess, what else was around the house. There's some, unfortunately, like kind of sketchier areas, and you just don't really run into that same issue as much as in Eagle River. So I had more, I guess, freedom of choice in Eagle River, I felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. What were some of the downsides then of living in Eagle River then?
I mean, for sure, the distance to everything. I mean, Anchorage has everything, which is so nice. And so, if you need anything other than basic groceries, it's like, okay, you're going to drive into drive into Anchorage. There's some restaurants up in Eagle River, but all the good restaurants are in Anchorage. Obviously, a lot more people. A lot of the fun things are in Anchorage. So that is a downside. There's a drive. Just a lot less going on in Eagle River,
Yeah, that's the case. I mean, you might get a concert, we get the parade, Bear Paw.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's kind of few and far between for sure.
for sure.
So another thing that we did talk about, and we were very intentional about this, is you guys decided you didn't want to live all the way out in the Matsu Valley. So
Yes, and that was, yeah, I think I would have been fine with it, but then you run into just like that commute. So I do have many friends who live out in the valley, and they absolutely love it. There's so much good out there, and honestly, like, I would be lying if I didn't say, like, I'm still kind of tempted to move out there. But yeah, my friends average a 45-minute, 50-minute commute every day. And that definitely adds up, I mean, you could definitely, go through a lot of podcasts, a lot of audiobooks on those drives, but it adds up. And that was a huge reason to not move all the way out there. Because, again, like, Anchorage has pretty much everything you need. And so if you ever, need to go to Costco or do all those things, it's like, it's a big commitment.
yeah, it's I think for a lot of people who decide, well, it's interesting because the people who decide I want to live out in the valley, it's because they want quality of life, and then for the people who don't decide to live in the valley, it's because of quality of life.
Yeah.
So it just really comes down to like what you define as quality of life.
Oh,
Like,
exactly. Yep. Yeah,
so-
definitely not for everyone, for sure. I don't think everyone could live out in the valley, but I think there's a valid reason why so many people, choose to live out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I would like to know, like, what were the kids' impression of Alaska when they first got here?
Oh my God, they loved it. Like, I mean, they still won't stop talking about how much they love Alaska. We'll be visiting my parents out in Utah or family out in Utah, which Utah's a beautiful place. I mean, we live like 15 minutes from Zion National Park, beautiful. And, my kids will still say to my parents, they're like, you know what, Nan and Papa, this is nice, but Alaska's better. They absolutely love it. I mean, they just love the hikes, the mountains, the wildlife. It's just hard to beat, especially for a kid. I mean, there's just so much to do. It's amazing.
Sounds like they've really kind of jumped into the lifestyle and everything up here so far. Huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they push me more than I would have expected in terms of, like, Dad, are we going to go camping yet? Like, when are we going camping? Like, they're continuously just, like, pushing to go just get out and do stuff. Even if it's, like, crappier weather, snow, rain, they don't care, which is, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So you guys do a lot of camping then?
We do, yes, yeah, definitely go a lot of camping this past summer. Went all over Kenai Peninsula, Homer, Seward, Copper Landing. I mean, even nearby places, the Eagle River campsite, the Eagle River Nature, the Nature Center, the literally just everywhere. There's so many like endless places to camp and to hike and fish, and yeah. So a lot of that, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, up here, you can accidentally go camping.
Oh,
Like that,
100%.
it's just so many opportunities. You can just accidentally back into it and not realize what you did.
Oh, for sure. You'll be driving, and then you'll pass this beautiful, area, and it's like, oh, this, such and such campsite, and you're just like, oh my God, I got to add that to the list of places I got to camp someday, and the list just grows, and you can never catch up to it.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have, exactly.
Yeah. So, what were the schools like for the kids when you were just getting them started and getting them situated and everything? Like that's one thing a lot of parents have a lot of questions about, just the schools in general. So, what
Yeah.
has your experience been?
Very positive. I'll say, so one of the schools that we tried to get our kids into was one of the dual immersion schools, which is really cool. Anchorage has a ton of dual immersion schools. My kids ended up getting into the Japanese English dual immersion school, but just because of distance, we weren't able to, follow through with that. So we ended up putting them in Homestead School in Eagle River, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it's close enough and safe enough for the kids to just walk right to school, and they loved that. I mean, it was a little adventure. They'd go through, little pockets of trees, and so they loved just walking to school. The whole just area and school felt safe. Everyone was so friendly. The staff, the other parents. It was nice just to feel like immediately part of the community. It was great, and the kids loved it too. They go outside and play, and made friends quick, and it was great.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like the people at the school themselves kind of just dragged you into the community right from the jump.
They did. I mean, that was super helpful. Luckily, the community's kind of, I guess, used to people moving in and moving out fairly often, which worked out for us. I mean, they knew that we were new, and they really kind of just took us in with both arms and held our hands along the way, and it was really nice.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So first summer,
Yep.
I think you guys actually moved up here. Was it in May, June?
May. Yeah, May. So we kind of jumped right into summer, right into the good weather. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely how that shook out. And I know like the first little bit, you guys are pretty dialed in, focused on like getting moved in, situated, like working on the house and stuff like that. But
Yep.
did you guys get a chance to get out and kind of enjoy the outdoors the first summer?
Yeah, we did. We did smaller trips, because a lot of that first summer was spent on, fixing up things around the house and, just getting situated. Everything's so new. But yeah, we went down to Seward a couple times, which is just beautiful place. It's so fun to just, drive down to Seward, Girdwood, all those festivals, blueberry festivals, all those just fun activities. Went to a lot of like just state fairs, markets, those kind of things. Those are happening all the time, and even in wintertime, they're all over the place. So did that, and then just did a lot of hiking. That's our first summer was pretty much just a bunch of hiking.
Do you guys have any favorite hikes?
So I have a few, yes. In Eagle River, there's Blueberry Hill, which is nice because there is a lot of blueberries. Start making jams.
I don't think I've heard of that one. Where's
Really?
that?
Okay, I know there's two different names because it's one hike, but then it splits off into Blueberry Hill, and then probably the more known trail name, which is I don't remember what it is, but I'll get back to you on that. But I'm sure you'd have heard of it. But anyway, lots of blueberries. Baldy, another great hike close by, very fun. And then there's like the shorter hikes that are really good for the kids, like Barbara Falls. Even just going out to Eklutna. You can, that whole trail is like 5 miles out, 5 miles back. So kind of long, but it is flat, accessible. You could ride bikes and stuff. But even just like walking it for a little bit, turn around, coming back. That whole area is just gorgeous. So, yeah.
Did you guys run into any wildlife while you were out there?
From a distance, yes, which is nice. That's what you want. Saw a ton of moose. My daughter's obsessed with lynx, and so she was very excited to see a few lynx here and there. Did see some black bears. Again, from a distance, so that's always nice, But, we try to be safe, always carry some bear spray and, other things.
Yeah, other things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last time I did like a long hike slash run over in Ekludna, like it was honestly something from a horror movie because
Oh,
I went like a solid 10 miles out, and once you get far away from people, that trail gets more and more and more closed in
yep.
to the point where I could hear like bears like snuffling in the trees like right next to me, and everything is like so thick in the foliage, could not actually see them.
Yeah.
And like I got all the way out there, and it was like, okay, well now I got to turn right back, and I got to go through that all over again.
Yep, I totally get it. Yeah, I have not taken my kids past the 1 mile mark on that trail for that exact reason. I've hiked it with me and my dog a couple times. Totally get that. Yeah, the one or two people that you end up passing once you get deeper onto that trail. It's funny. Last time I hiked it, I passed one guy. It was the first guy I'd seen in like an hour, and he's just like, "Hey, just warning you, there's a bear up there." I'm like, "Got it." Turned right around with him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's okay, that's great trail etiquette. I've actually met people where they obviously knew there was like a bear or a moose, didn't say anything.
Oh, see, that's just
Because
rude.
I was
That's
going
just
by.
rude. Yeah, you got to spread the love. Let people at least have a warning.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, just give me a chance of not dying. That's all I'm asking for here. Okay, outstanding. So you guys were here, enjoyed kind of that first summer, and then after summer comes obviously winter time.
Winter, yes.
What was the first winter time for Kaden and family?
You know what? I was personally terrified, because you just hear like, oh my God, it's going to be so dark and cold and everyone's depressed. And it was honestly not any of that. The first winter here, we got a ton of snow, which was fun. I learned some things about snow. Snow is heavy. My broken shed can attest to the weight of snow.
Your shed actually broke?
It collapsed. Was not smart and did not clear away the snow from the roof of my shed because I just didn't know snow was that heavy. So it collapsed.
Because the shed had was it those tin walls?
It's
on the
just
side?
the thin tin little shed, hold my lawnmower and stuff, and it's no more. It's no longer with us.
Yeah, I've got a house myself that also has like that thin tin walls and everything, and yeah, I mean for me it is like way the heck out there across the other side of a lot on like this 1 acre thing, and I have to trudge through the snow to like knock the snow off the top.
Yep.
Because even from the side, even from all that ways away, I can see like the sides like bulging
Oh yeah.
outwards, like when the snow's starting to weigh it down.
Yep. I wished I paid more attention to my shed, so at least you're doing the right thing. So good on you. But yeah, the first winter was honestly great. I did take precautions. Took vitamin D every day, just because I was so nervous. Like I don't want to get depressed, don't want to get down and out. So took vitamin D, but with all the snow coming down, like honestly, it was a blast. The light, or I guess the darkness, I didn't really notice it as much. Like obviously it's always dark, but you just kind of get used to it. Like, yeah, it's dark, but it's like, let's still go out and do stuff. There's so many cross-country skiing trails. So learned how to cross-country ski. I mean, I'm still learning. But it's so fun to get out there, and a lot of the trails are lit. And so it doesn't matter what time you go out. You just go out. It's lit. It's safe. And yeah.
Do you go to the Chukiak trails out
Yes.
there? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are the best. I mean, again, it's like a 5-minute drive. You're already there. It's lit up, really well paved, groomed trails, a huge trail system. Like you can try new combos of trails every day and like never get tired.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of my favorite. I mean, I used to drive all the way out to Government Peak and like Palmer and everything. I mean, it's nice, but I still prefer the Chugiak trails personally.
Yeah.
So, real quick, how old are your kids?
So I have a 9-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl.
Gotcha. And how did they adjust to the winter like that first go around? Because I mean, you're an adult, like you know what to expect. You can kind of prepare for it. Like how did you help them get ready for it, or did you?
Yeah. So I mean, prepared with getting them warm clothes.
That's a good start.
That was a good start. Yeah. But that was the biggest thing was just, I I know, just kind of like mentally preparing them, like, okay, like what are some of the things that you guys want to try, like sledding, snowboarding, whatever. And then, we got hit with that huge amount of snow. I think it was like early November. We started off with like 2 feet of like actual good snow, which I am missing this winter, but
Yeah, it's been a drought.
it's
Yes.
been a sad winter. But they loved it. I mean, they were making snowman. We went out to their elementary school, has a decently sized hill. We would go out sledding, and there'd be other kids there and other families, and just have a blast, just playing in the snow. I mean, the kids just love being outside. Again, they would go out there with like no gloves, and they just play, and then I'd have to force them to come inside because their hands are like red and they don't care. And yeah, they loved it.
So, look, they are just living their best lives.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that like I've noticed kids do really well. Like very rarely do you hear about kids coming down with depression during the wintertime, just because, I mean, they're usually a lot more engaged with going out and getting involved with those activities and just staying engaged. Whereas most adults, we kind of have a tendency to kind of just go home and watch TV. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's something I've kind of noticed. Like adults are usually more susceptible to, getting sad than most children are.
For sure. Yeah, you definitely kind of feel. It might have been you, honestly, who told me like you just have to force yourself to get out, and like that's it. That's all you need to do. And then like the winter goes by so fast, and it's fun, and you're not stressing about being sad because there's so much to do, even in the wintertime. I feel like, like a lot of stuff opens up in the wintertime that obviously you can't do in the summertime. So again, like in the summertime, you build up a list of all these things you got to do. Same thing in the wintertime. I mean, there's, I feel like in the wintertime, you're thinking of all the things you could do in the summer. And then in the summer, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait till winter because there's all these things that I want to try and do and stuff. So, yeah.
Yep. Do you guys have any activities, anything like that you're wanting to get into, whether, that be winter or summertime then?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I should have brought my actual list, but yeah, like I want to try the fat tire mountain biking or the fat tire biking, ride out to the Kinnick Glacier. I've heard that's really fun. Obviously snow machining. I did it once last year. So fun. Definitely want to do that some more. Want to try being towed around on a dog mushing sled. Like that sounds like a blast. And you could do that in the summer too. But there's that. Love checking out the glaciers in the wintertime because they're more stable, and so you're allowed to do more on the glaciers.
Oh, you're actually going out there and walking on the actual glacier then?
Absolutely, yeah. So last year did a tour at the Matanuska Glacier, and we were able to go like inside the glacier, and like you just see how the water kind of like carves these caves and these pathways in the glacier itself. I mean, and you can't do that in the summertime because it's just too dangerous, and it's wet, and like you just can't do that. You can walk maybe on like the terminus of the glacier or near to and stuff, but you can't like go inside. And that's something that you can do in the wintertime that you couldn't do anywhere else. So, yeah, there's lots of opportunities. And then the snow machine right up to a glacier is another thing. Yes, absolutely huge list of things. Downhill skiing, haven't tried that yet. Yeah, I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, that downhill skiing is really what scares me. Like I've gotten into like just I think it's like wild ice skating, I guess is what they call it, where you're like ice skating like outside.
Oh,
And,
cool.
yeah, you've got like some small lakes, ponds like that here in the area where they actually clear it off, and you can actually go skate on it.
Mm-hmm.
Westchester Lagoon is probably the best because they clear it away, and then they have essentially it's like a Zamboni with a really hot mop that they drag behind it, and they like make the surface like really, really smooth. So
very cool, beautiful area too. Went out there like a month ago to check out the whale.
The whale?
Go check out the whale. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you not in the know,
this is a very unique thing.
This is very topical. So there was a baby fin whale that washed up on the shores of Anchorage, and they still don't know what exactly caused its death. but it was washed up there on the shore, so we could all go just see it, check it out, get pictures with it. A lot of the kids were like,
Saw some kids like sliding
sliding
down
on
it.
it.
Yeah.
It was a giant slide.
Is
So I was like, I'm not
very
sure I
cool.
want to get that familiar with it because I still don't know what killed this animal.
yeah. It's cool to see though.
Oh yeah, super cool.
Definitely.
Like, where else can you do that?
Nowhere. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's like, oh my God, like we have to do this. Like, yeah, where else are you going to get up close right to a whale, It's awesome.
Absolutely. So let's see here. How would you describe the different communities in kind of South Central Alaska from what you've noticed so far?
That's
and keep in mind, like,
question,
you're not going to get in trouble for any shade thrown here. So.
Yeah. Okay, so there's definitely, there's a big military community. I mean, that's the first and foremost, which is honestly kind of cool. I mean, you're always going to be meeting new people coming in. People are going to be leaving just because there's a huge joint base here in Anchorage. So that's kind of fun. And then because of that, you have a huge veteran community, which is honestly like the best veteran community that I've seen and or heard of. I mean, it's just like so supportive for everyone. There's Facebook groups for veterans. They're like, hey, like, I'm new to hunting. Like, is there anyone who can take me out to hunt? And like 50 people will be like, yeah, like I'm going look for a bear or a moose like this weekend, like, or fishing or. It's just awesome.
Have you gotten into the hunting yet?
I've tried. I say I've gone hunting, but it just turns into hikes with a big gun. So
yeah, that's what I did this year too. Like, it was literally the last day of hunting. My brother-in-laws, we just got into the truck, drove up to the Willow Fishhook Road and hiked around. Like, the most action we got is we were driving back and there was like a couple of moose on the side of the road. And like where we're at, it's like, they're legal, like, take your shot. But we were just sitting there, like, just looking at the moose, like, okay, the brow tines, is it? I don't think it's close, but it's just not quite there. And it's such a big, dumb animal. It's just staring at you.
Yeah.
Figure out what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Totally relatable. Yeah. I went moose hunting. My brother flew up, tried to get us a moose. And same thing. We saw a moose while we were driving, but didn't have the brow tine requirement that we needed, and ended up being a fun little camping trip. But yeah, definitely still trying to get into it. On the hunting, there's so many opportunities. I mean, black bear, grizzly, moose, sheep, goat, grouse, ptarmigan, muskox. I mean, there's just so many cool opportunities. Caribou. But yeah, still trying. Maybe next time I run into you, I'll have a cool story. But as of right now, it's just hiking and camping with a big gun.
And you know what? That's still quality time. So we'll
Absolutely, we'll take it.
So we'll take it.
Yeah.
But what about? So there are a lot of people who are like from the outside looking in, and they have no clue where somewhere like Wasilla, Palmer, Anchorage, like what those places are like.
Sure.
Obviously, you've just lived in Eagle River, but kind of from your perspective, at least here on the ground, how would you describe like each one of those communities?
Yeah. So, Anchorage feels just like any regular bigger city. I mean, like, and that comes with all the pros and cons of a big city. I mean, you have all the stores, you have all the restaurants, you have all the activities and the hustle and bustle. It's just snowy. But I mean, there's other cities that are big and snowy. So it's really just like a fun, unique city that I guess like one of the bigger cons is, we just don't get as many concerts as other big cities. But so there's that. But it's a wonderful community. Like I feel like for the most part, no matter where you go, Alaskans kind of got each other's back and are willing to help other like new people like me kind of find their place and stuff, which is really nice.
Well, I don't know, man. You're getting up on 2 years. You're not really by the standard, you're getting pretty salty at this point. So.
Yeah, I know. I finally, got. I'm officially an Alaskan resident now, so I should talk more like one. Yeah, but no, it's great. Like Anchorage itself, honestly, just feels like any big city, And then, you start driving north. You pass Eagle River, which is very. I would definitely say it's a quiet little neighborhood. I mean, a lot of like my neighbors are older, retired. I mean, there's still like so many young kids flying around. Like my kids had no problem at all making friends. I remember like the first week we were here, my kids were like, "Hey, I'm gonna go off." I was like, "Okay, like I'll see you." And then they came back with like 10 other kids, and they're like, "We want to play." I'm like, "Oh my god, okay."
You caught some strays.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, very very quiet. But you still have a few restaurants. You got a Walmart, a Fred Meyer's. You got what you need. Keep driving, you get into Chugiak, which is even more just like, kind of more just like cabiny feel. As that's how I would explain it. You kind of getting a little more out there. You still have stuff, and there's still a lot of people and schools, and hell, you got the Chugiak High School, the elementary schools. But as you move, further north, Chugiak, and then going up, past Eklutna and then towards the valley, Wasilla, Palmer, you get more and more into the cabiny outdoorsman style of people, which just like Anchorage is, you get the pros and cons of city stuff. You get the pros and cons of country stuff, in Wasilla, which comes with, really loving people, and also maybe people who or, get off my property, kind of like, this is very generalized. Yeah. I know there's wonderful people everywhere, but yes.
Some of them have made it very clear they don't want to be part of society.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you knew everything now that you knew, like back when you guys were deciding where to settle down, like, would you still have picked Eagle River?
That is such a hard question, because even to this day, I'm like, I bounce back and forth, man. Like some days are like, man, I really wished I lived out in Palmer. Like it's just like so peaceful. But then I'm like, oh my God, the drive would just kill me, and I'd never want to like go to town because it's so far. And like, I don't think I'd be more recluse probably, which. Again, I'm like, oh, maybe I do want that. I don't know. But then on the other side of the spectrum, I'm like, oh, but Anchorage would be so nice to live in because there's really beautiful areas in Anchorage, and there's so many people, and there's just so many things that are like close by that you can be like, oh, I'm going to go hop over and check out this thing today, or check out this new restaurant that I haven't tried. Like that stuff is so much more accessible when you're in town. And so honestly, I don't know the answer. I don't know a good answer. I honestly, every day it flips back and forth. I think,
and that's that is what it's like living here. Sometimes it's like, for me, like it's not really Palmer. I kind of fantasize about living in Sutton.
Yes,
that is just, it's like north of Palmer by like 30, 40 minutes, like absolutely gorgeous drive out there.
Yes.
Well, there is nothing going on in Sutton. Wind, lots of wind.
Lots of wind.
They've got wind. But other than that, like really nothing going on out there. But it's like, super peaceful, but also, nothing going on.
For sure. Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm destined for Eagle River, because I can't make up my mind between the the opposite ends. Yeah,
just kind of split the difference.
Split the diff. Yeah,
that's the compromise.
Yeah.
So if somebody was asking you, what is Alaska like? How do you think you would answer that question?
Oh my goodness. Alaska is. I mean, this is so cheesy, but it's honestly what you make of it, because like in my mind, when you asked that question, I was like, oh, it's like literally like endless adventure. Like that's, again, that's another cheesy line, but I really feel that way because
it's like, get out.
It's like, no, for reals. I remember the first summer here, we had a decent amount of rain. I feel my first summer here. And so whenever like the rain stopped and the sun came out, I was like, I literally got stressed. It's like, oh my God, like we have to do 7 different things today because like the sun's out. We have to do this hike. We have to go to this store. We need to check out this market. We need to ride our bikes in this trail. Like
it's a frenzy. Like
it
once the
is.
sun's out, like there's so much stress to get out and do stuff.
For reals.
It's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem.
It's a wonderful problem to have. So it's stressful, but in a good way. So honestly, it's what you make out of it, but it can be a literal endless adventure. There's so much to do and so much stuff to check out. And it's perfect for people who like an easy escape. I mean, even if you live in Anchorage, 10 minutes and you're alone in the mountains and the forest and you could see wildlife or you could go to the ocean and like, I mean, I wouldn't go out to the mud flats or anything, but you know, it's just crazy the amount of stuff you have available.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this the other day because I went down to Seward and just wanted to hang out for a couple days, kind of disconnect around the holiday times. And I was kind of driving back, and I was like, man, it's wild that live in a place where you've got the ocean over here, where I have literally seen like whales like on this beach, and you go into the forest, and it's like this rainforest, and you get all the the wildlife, the moose, the everything that's out there.
Yes.
And then you drive just a little further like north where we're at, and I mean the climate and everything is completely different. Then you've got the glaciers and the northern lights and just everything in between. And it's like, it's a lot of variety.
It is, yeah. And even the drives. I mean, you mentioned the drives, but like, my goodness, the drives. I mean, I like, it takes me so long to drive to a new destination because I feel like every 10 minutes I have to pull over and just like either like take a picture of whatever I'm looking at or like it is just insane.
That's kind of the downside of doing road trips with a photographer, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I drove down to Valdez for the first time this summer. And yeah, it took about like 2 hours longer than it usually takes just because those views are insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, Valdez was another one of those places I was looking at. It was either that, like Seward or Valdez is where I wanted to go, but yeah, it's just getting through Thompson Pass. I was like, I don't know if I'm doing that with a Prius.
Yeah, that's pretty daring.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful place though.
Yes.
Was that the place you went snow machining, or was that somewhere else?
No, so went snow machining just past Girdwood, and then went out to rode the trails out to Spencer Glacier, and then like literally drove right up to the glacier, took some pictures, hung out next to a glacier, licked the blue ice, and then hopped back on and drove back. It was great.
Yeah, living your best life.
Oh, absolutely, trying.
So would you say that the stereotypes that people have about Alaska are accurate? You know what? Let's actually step back first. Okay. And what you believe are some of the stereotypes?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I stereotypes, I mean, for sure, just like backcountry, gritty people, don't need no government, like out, living on the land kind of people. I that's what I would assume people, at least like before I even like considered living in Alaska, that's kind of what I kind of thought. It's like, oh, everyone just kind of hunts for their own food up here and
kills it with their own bare hands and drags it back.
Like, and they all
it's
have
called
pet
the
bears.
last frontier.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think that was like the main stereotype for sure. But in terms of if that's true, I think there definitely are those people. They're way more friendlier than I originally thought, though. I mean, they're kind of like what I mentioned with like the veteran and also just like the hunting community in general. They probably won't show you their good honey holes, their good hunting spots and stuff, but they will absolutely sit down and talk to you and help you get on your own feet in terms of like hunting and stuff. So yes, there are those like, gritty huntsman type of people that, live out in their cabins and hunt for their pretty much everything, but very friendly folk. But that is not the majority of people. What I came to learn is it's just a bunch of people who like going out on hikes. I feel like that's like the majority of people that I run into.
It's just an entire state sponsored by REI.
Oh my God, yes. No, it's honestly great. You meet every type of people, even like the more kind of just like bougie, type of people. There's them up here too, because I mean it's a beautiful state. I mean it literally has a bit of everything, and that includes the people. There's communities for literally everything. I mean, there's any hobby that you have. I mean, guaranteed there's some community that does that. Like I think it's fairly niche, but like I like to do high powered model rocketry. So like the little rockets that you buy at Hobby Lobby. It's like that times like 20. So like 6 feet tall rockets that go up like several miles high. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to find a club to launch with, because you kind of need a lot of support when you launch these kind of things. You have to work with the FAA. And
sounds like a tribe kind of activity. Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised. There's a rocketry group in Anchorage, and they launch off the just on the Kinnick River, and have launches every month or so. And honestly, there's all sorts of people. So yes, there's stereotypes, and yes, they do exist. But think of any other type of person, and they're definitely here.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good answer. So with having lived here for a couple of years at this point nearly, what for you would you say are the pros and the cons? I mean, obviously with the expectation that nowhere is going to be perfect, there's going to be good and there's going to be bad of living anywhere. So for you, what would you say the pros and the cons of living in Alaska are?
Yeah, so I think I've definitely mentioned quite a few pros, just, as we've talked, just the hikes, a lot of it is outdoorsy related, hikes, camping, fishing, hunting, four-wheeling, dirt biking, flying, a great place to learn how to fly too. Parasailing, all that fun stuff.
Are you learning how to fly?
You know what? I am working on it. Yeah. Did a what they call what they don't call it a test flight, discovery flight, out in Palmer. There's the airport near the Butte, and absolute blast. They let you fly and kind of teach you, let you control the stick and stuff. And
are you looking at the program where it takes like 2 weeks and?
Did consider that, yeah. So they do have a couple schools up here that you dedicate 2, 3, 4 weeks, probably 4 weeks just to account for bad weather days. But if the weather's good, you can go from 0 to private pilot in 2 weeks. You're just going to be flying, studying all day. As long as you've completed ground school, you'd have to go into it with ground school completed, signed off. But 2 weeks, you'll get all of your hours done. So yes, I've looked at that. Work it wouldn't really allow me to do that right now, but yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I've also talked with other pilots, and they're like, dude, I think maybe they're like, I can see where you're coming from, but there's a lot where it could be a pro or a con, just
for sure.
So I can see the logic of getting all that experience in suddenly, so you learn it really well, but then also,
I mean, you got to keep it up.
You got to keep it up.
Yeah, you got to keep flying, weekly, monthly at the least, So totally understand. Yeah, the instructors that I spoke with, they're like, yeah, you could do that, but recommend, flying 2-3 times a week instead. And yes, it'll take a month or a couple months, but it seems like the learning will stick better, and you'll have a more diverse, I guess, flight experience, I guess. So
yeah, no, absolutely. All right, but I think those were the pros.
Yeah, sorry, the cons. Going to
sorry,
the cons.
I went on the side.
Yeah, no, side tangents are great. I feel like Alaska, you can go on so many different side tangents. But okay, so cons. Yes, there definitely are cons. One is the darkness, yes, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, the near constant sunlight in the summertime, those could absolutely be cons. There are pro sides to them for sure. You get a lot more sleep in the winter. Love it. You get no sleep in the summertime. Definite con. But you have so much more light to go out and do stuff. Like you mentioned this one of the first times we were talking about this before I even bought a house. But you're like, yeah, like sometimes my neighbors will be mowing the lawn at like 10 p.m. because it's just so sunny. And lo and behold, I did that on accident once. I like started mowing the lawn.
You were the guy. You were the guy.
I was the guy. And then like I was like, why is no cars were driving, no one was outside. I look at my watch and it was like 10:15 p.m. I was like, oh shoot, I'm the guy. So I turned it off and like put it back in the shed. But that can be a con for sure. It definitely messes with like your sleep, and especially if you have kids, they are not going to want to sleep, like even more so. So that can be a con. Another con I would say is, while I consider Anchorage to have everything, that's not going to be the case for everyone. Some people are going to want, specific stores or specific events, and Anchorage, it's a big town, but it doesn't have everything. Like, and that goes especially for like concerts and stuff. We're not going to get, the latest and greatest shows and concerts coming up here. But I will say, we do have a few traveling Broadway shows come up here every year. We do get some concerts, like Flo Rida was here earlier this year, so we get some things, but definitely lacking, especially for a lot of people. You have to fly down to the lower 48 for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like if you're expecting Nashville or the attractions from like Dallas or somewhere like that, like that's your favorite comedian is probably not going to be coming here. Well, I don't know, depending like on who the comedian is actually, because I've noticed some of them are actually starting to come up here, and I think it's because they get a chance to go to Alaska, and it's a write-off as a business trip. So
yes, for sure. I do feel like that's a way to bring in a lot of cool talent. Is like, it's Alaska. You can come sing for us one day, and then you go check out a glacier the next day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how we got Lindsey Sterling to come in for the state fair like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we had a few. Didn't like 50 Cent come earlier this year? I don't remember. I feel like every once in a while we'll get a couple like big names, and then.
Oh, it was the Hannibal Buress.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So. No, Hannibal Buress came up, and I was expecting a like his stand-up routine, and it just turned into a bunch of rap. So
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting. It was still good.
It's all good. Yeah. Let's see. Going back to the cons, price of stuff. Yeah, even things like fast food, regular food. Gas is not the worst. Definitely not the best though. But overall price of things is higher. So that is a con. Dating can also definitely be a con. There's the saying like, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. I think that's mostly for women, but yeah.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of more dudes out here, but yeah.
Yeah, no. For us, it's more like
the odds are bad.
The odds are bad, and the goods are odd. Like it's not great.
Yeah,
it's not great up here.
Yeah,
it's rough in these streets.
Yeah, hard to. Yeah, but when you do, like, if you like the outdoors and if you like Alaska, you can definitely find some really great people up here for sure. But it's definitely harder. For sure. You end up seeing a lot of the same people, if you're on the apps and stuff.
Yeah, just rotating in and out and in and out. And yeah, after a while, you kind of start piecing together somebody's story just by seeing which profile pictures they're using over the years. And it's like, oh, good for her. She finally went and did that. She finally went and hiked Denali. Good for her.
That's so funny. It's sad, but it's funny.
It's very, unfortunately, that's just the world we're in.
It is what it is. Yeah. Well, it's one of the cons, but It's all good.
Absolutely. Well, Kaden, are there any other thoughts or anything like that you'd like to say if someone is considering making the move up to Alaska, or I don't know if they want to or not, they're moving up here? Like, any words of advice you'd like to give?
Oh, you know what? I mean, like if you're considering moving up here, I would say come during either like early spring or like late fall. Avoid the summer months. Like avoid June, July, into August a little bit, just because it's a bit overcrowded. But if you come like May, or if you come like September, stay for a week or two and just get the feel of what people are doing, go out and do stuff. I think that would give you a good understanding of like more of what Alaska has to offer. But my very biased opinion is it is an absolute wonder to live up here. You'll never be bored. You'll always be looking for, your camera or your phone camera to take pictures of a bear that you see on the side of the street, or a moose that's crossing the street, or, a kid on a snow machine just ripping along the road as you're driving next to it. Like, I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, there's just so much to do, and beautiful state, really fun people, and would recommend. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's about as much of an endorsement, I think, as we can possibly get.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, Kaden, I do really want to thank you for coming on here and kind of sharing your perspective on what it's like living up here from what you've experienced so far. And I'm glad that you're right down the road and can make it out to all of our meetups and everything.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, good to have you here. And everyone else, thank you very much for watching. Sure hope this has been useful for you as well. If you'd like a copy of the relocation guide up here to Alaska, feel free to go to the website. Link for that is in the description section down below. Just make sure you register there, put relocation guide in the little comment section so I know what to send you. And we will see you next time.